Okay, we are live. It's Monday. Mindset Monday to be exact. This was looking a little bit different. So give me a second. I'm trying to get it figured out here. Okay, I think we are good. All is well. I feel like something about this has changed. But all right, well, we're just going to rock with it. I still know where the camera is. So that's a good thing. So it is Monday. It is week 9 of Mindset Mondays. Like, holy cow, it is crazy to believe that. Like, today I almost felt like we're getting that first glimpse of fall. Like, that was like, whoa, I, for one, am excited. I think about 75, 80 degrees all day, every day without allergies would be perfect weather for me. But so the summer is like almost coming on. 9 whole weeks that we've been doing that. And I am so excited about tonight. So I have notes, and they are actually taped behind the camera so that I can see them so that I do not forget anything that it is that I wanted to make sure that I said tonight. All right. So, hey, Dennis. So let's see here. In this whole time, when I started Mindset Mondays, it was because I had gone through a journey recently where I was intentional about changing my mindset so that I could change my life. And so as I started to research, like what really goes into changing a mindset, undoubtedly, I spent a lot of time looking at winners and losers and what are characteristics of people who seem to be successful in life. And what is it that they seem to do different than people who don't seem to have as much success with their goals. And so over the course of the last 8 weeks, I mean, we have talked about everything. We have talked about fear. We've talked about ANTS, which stood for automatic negative thoughts. We've talked about controlling your mindset. We've talked about having a growth mindset. And we've talked about everything in between. We've talked about the what ifs. We've talked about the power of your words. And every so often in there, I've lightly even touched on God a little bit. But the truth is, you guys, I have been very convicted in the last couple of days that with my mindset, motivations on Monday nights, I have actually just kind of really been tiptoeing around the edge of the water. So my cousin in her subdivision, her pool actually has a 1 foot area, kind of like a wading area, which Riley loves because she can stand in it completely and be safe and not have to surrender control to the water, excuse me, and just play. And so I've been standing in the 1 feet of water and saying to God, okay, well, I jumped in, right? And I got my feet wet a little bit with this whole mindset thing, right? But just like Riley, I've enjoyed being in the 1 feet because it's safe. Like I know exactly how to stand, how to play in it, how to splash around a little bit, and how to look like I jumped in the water. But the truth is, God is standing in the middle of the ocean. And if you can think about the depth of the ocean versus the depth of me standing in 1 foot of water, he is like, you're playing small with me, Shayla. You're still, yes, you did move a little bit, slightly, kind of, sort of in the direction, but you're still playing small. And so I'm in a season of awareness right now, and it's a scary place to be, but it's a powerful place at the same time. And so in this season of awareness, as things are starting to come together, even more and more for me, what I know to be the truth is when we, at the end of the day, really look at what is it that stops people from moving in the direction fully of the thing it is that they're asking for. And what is it specifically that stops people from showing up fully in who it is that God made them to be? What is that one thing? So are you ready? It is lack of faith. Right. And I'm not talking about lack of faith as it relates to whether or not you believe in you. I'm talking about lack of faith as it relates to whether or not you believe in God. Right. So I'm going to give you a short story. So yesterday, I was at church yesterday morning, and at the end of our worship service, we have an opportunity where we can just go down and ask for prayer. And I went down and I asked for prayer, and I intentionally walked up to a woman who in the past has prayed, and whenever she prays over me, she leaves something so specific in my spirit that I can't shake it even if I try. And so when I walked down and I asked for prayer, what I explained to her was, so I'm in a season of awareness right now, which means that when things happen, I can now see it for what the devil is intending to do. A small incident had happened on Saturday where the devil tried to take familiarity with a past hurt and bring it back up to the forefront of me on Saturday. And for a slight second, it did shake me. And I was hurt and I was mean and I said some things I shouldn't have said. And immediately my husband said to me, "That's not you, that's the old you." And it's like that was the reminder that I needed, that I've changed my mind and I'm not that person anymore. But when I went down for prayer yesterday, what I said to the lady that I was asking for prayer, I said, I know when it's the devil coming after me, but that doesn't make it any easier to fight. It doesn't make it any easier to stand strong, and it doesn't make it any easier to surrender the situation, even though I know it's the devil. And as she was praying, she said, God, help Shayla to remember that it is her faith in you that draws you to her, not your words. Okay, I'm going to say that again. She said, God, help Shayla to remember that it is her faith in you that draws you to her, not her words. And so my question to you tonight is the same question that I asked myself yesterday after she said that to me. How big is your faith? Right? So that's the question I pondered all day yesterday. How big is my faith? Do I have man-sized faith or do I have God-sized faith? Because if you're anything like me, when I heard that statement yesterday, I shook. Like, it kind of caught me a little off guard, the statement. Because initially I wanted to be defensive and I wanted to be like, wait a minute, why are you praying to God about my faith? I have faith, I trust, I believe. And if you're anything like me, you think, well, because you go to church, because you believe in God, because you're nice, and because you've known, like, everybody watched the eclipse last Monday, and you've got to believe that there's a God if you saw the total solar eclipse, right? And I'm not saying that anything is wrong with that, but when I started to really look at that, did I have man-sized faith or do I have God-sized faith? So I'm going to help you figure out which kind of faith it is you believe you have. All right, so man-sized faith looks like this. It's that small kind of faith that is just enough to get you by, right? So man-sized faith is that kind of faith that says, God, I do trust you, but like if you could just give me a hint or maybe just a preview of what the future looks like, or, God, I do trust you, but if you could just give me a little bit of confirmation, God, if you could just give me a little bit of extra so that I'm sure that it's you, that's man-sized faith. Man-sized faith is the faith that looks like the kind of faith that finds it really hard to trust the process. Like, that there is a process, but man-sized faith finds it kind of hard to trust the process, right? That's man-sized. Man-sized faith is the kind of faith that makes you question whether or not you're qualified to even do the very thing it is that you've been asking for. So that man-sized faith is the kind of faith that says, okay, I'm going to step out here just a tiny bit, but the minute it doesn't happen exactly the way you thought it was, or the minute it doesn't happen exactly on the time schedule that you thought, then all of a sudden it's, oh, well, maybe I was wrong, or maybe I'm not qualified, or maybe I'm not really supposed to be the person, or maybe God was wrong, maybe this wasn't really my dream. That's man-sized faith. But here's what I've learned, and this is my moment of truth. This is my ouch. So my ouch was that man-sized faith most oftentimes is the result of past hurts and disappointments and things that had something to do with man. So let's say if there was a past hurt because your dad wasn't who he was supposed to be, or there's a past hurt because once upon a time, some person in your life didn't show up in the way that they were supposed to. Your mom didn't show up, your boyfriend didn't show up, your wife didn't show up the way that she needed to for you. And so there's a hurt there. There's some sort of tangible hurt that has happened to you in your real life that is blocking your ability to have God-sized faith. So for me on Saturday, what the devil wanted to happen is he wanted me to remember all of the times that my dad has hurt me and all of the times that my dad has disappointed me. And if I'm completely honest, because of that's why I've struggled with having God-sized faith, because if I had God-sized faith, then I would know that I could look at God's track record of when it is He's been in my life versus man's track record, right? Because when I look at man's track record, then I'm like, well, I would have faith in God, but what if He doesn't show up completely? Or what if He doesn't do exactly what He said He would do? Or what if I didn't really hear Him right and the promises that God said aren't really actually for me? If I have man-sized faith blocking my God-sized faith. But when I can allow myself to have God-sized faith and to operate and move with God-sized faith, then I can understand that when I look back on God's track record, He has never disappointed. He's never not shown up. He's never not done what He was supposed to do. He's never not been there right for me when I needed it. If I can be honest about God's track record, He's the only person who's shown me unconditional love. And He's all the love that I've ever really truly needed to begin with, right? If I can think about God's faith. And so the crazy part about it is as I was planning what I was going to come on the Facebook Live tonight and talk about, then I was coming on Facebook tonight to talk to you about bounce back ability. And I was coming on Facebook Live tonight to talk to you about grit. Because those are really fancy, fun words, like catchy words, you know? When you talk about bounce back ability, people are like, oh, what's that? And you go on to explain to them that it is that ability to get back up after you've been knocked down every single time. Bounce back ability is what allows you to say, oh, I know that I've been knocked down, but I'm not counted out. I know that I had a setback, but I've not been counted out. I know that it didn't happen the first time the way I wanted to, but I've not been counted back, right? And when you think about the word grit, grit is a short little 4-letter word that has huge meaning, right? Grit refers to perseverance, to persistence, to never giving up despite the odds, to having courage, to being all in. That's what grit is defined as. And so I was going to come on here tonight and talk to you about how much you need bounce back ability and how much you need grit, because those are catchy words. But the truth is, what I just described to you is faith. It's not bounce back ability. I mean, that sounds great, but it's just faith. It's not grit. Grit sounds good because grit sounds like it's something like, I feel like when you say grit, you want to just grit your teeth. It just sounds strong. But it's not really about having bounce back ability or having grit. It is simply about having faith. Because when you have faith, the kind that's God-sized, then you know that God-sized faith means that you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. Or you know that God-sized faith means there is no weapon formed against you that will prosper. When you have God-sized faith, then you can look at bounce back ability and say, you got that right, because the devil did try to knock me down. The devil did try to take me out. The devil is going to be able to make me stumble, and sometimes the devil is going to be able to make me fall. But if I have God-sized faith, then I know that even when I fall, even when I stumble, even when it's hard, even when it seems impossible, even when I've been counted out, God is working behind the scenes on my behalf at that very moment. At my weakest moment, God is working behind the scenes on my behalf. When I can have God-sized faith, then I understand that if God gave me the vision, He equipped me with the tools needed to carry the vision out. If I have God-sized faith, then I know that if I'm not happy where I'm at, I don't have to stay here, right? If where you're at right now is not where you want to be, then don't stay. You have the option. You have the choice. When I can operate in God-sized faith, then I know that I'm the daughter of the King. So when the devil comes, and I said when, not if, because the devil is coming. That's just the reality of the life that we live, the world that we're in. The devil is coming. But I know that if I have God-sized faith, when the devil comes, I have whatever it takes to survive every single time. Every single thing he throws at me, every single obstacle that comes my way. If I have God-sized faith and not man-sized faith, then I know that I can overcome it, right? So the question for tonight is, what do you have? Do you have man-sized faith or do you have God-sized faith? And if you don't have God-sized faith, then There's 3 things I want you to do after this lifetime. One, I want you to just simply ask God to change your mindset. Because despite what the neuroscientists say, despite what the growth mindset books say, despite what the latest buzzwords are, all you have to really do if you truly want to change your mind is ask God to help you do it. And the second thing I want you to do is simply shift your focus to control, to the things that you can control. Just shift. Shift your focus. Shift your focus on what it is that you can do every single day that moves you one step closer in the direction of the thing it is that you've been asking for. And then lastly, surrender the rest to God. And that's where the true work is. It's really easy to ask God to help you. It's really easy to think about doing something different. But the true part to this is the surrender. Surrender it to God. Because at the end of the day, the reality is God wants absolutely nothing more than to give us the desires of our hearts. But the thing about it is He's waiting on us. We think so often that we're waiting on God. But when God does this, and when that happens, and when, and if, and might, and maybe, and what if those days never come? God is waiting on you. And He's such a gracious God that He's not a pushy person. So He doesn't force anything on us. He gives us free will. He gives us time, all the time that we need. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what your works are if you have not given God your faith. And not the man's God's faith, but the God's faith. And that is the reality and the truth as it relates to mindset. It's really all about the size of your faith. So that's been this week's Mindset Monday. Share this video if anything that I said resonated with you. Share it, because 9 times out of 10, there's somebody else out there that needs to hear it too. I didn't look at any of the comments tonight. I wanted to make sure that I got all of my points in, but if you made a comment, have a comment, want to make a comment, and inbox me because you don't want to talk on the live, no problem. Would love to hear from you. Know that I'll be here next Monday, and I will be here every single Monday until God tells me different. So have a good night.